Level 1, the wash boy. 6 a.m., cold water, bare hands. You're 17, broke. Standing in a gas station parking lot with a bucket, a sponge, and a dream that doesn't have a shape yet. Your first client is a rusted Civic. $20. Cash. You scrub the hood until your arms burn. You rinse the wheels twice because the brake dust won't quit. The owner watches you from the driver's seat, arms crossed, saying nothing. You sweat through your shirt in October. You don't complain. Complaining doesn't pay rent. He hands you a crumpled 20 and drives off without a word. You stand there in the cold, staring at the bill like it's a sign from somewhere. It's not much, but it's yours, earned with your own 2 hands. You walk home past 3 more gas stations, past 4 more dirty cars, already doing math in your head. If 1 car is $20, 10 cars is $200. You don't know it yet, but that math is the first hook. It's how they get you. This is where everyone starts. Nobody remembers the wash boy, but you remember the smell of that first bottle of tire shine like it was cologne from a life you hadn't lived yet. You go home. You count the money twice. You hide it under your mattress like it might disappear. You tell yourself, this is temporary. Just until something better comes along. You're wrong. This is the beginning, and beginnings don't ask permission to become something bigger. Level 2. The mobile hustle. 6 months later, you bought a pressure washer on credit you can barely cover. Now you drive to them. Driveways, office parking lots, apartment complexes at 7 a.m. before the day even starts. $50 a car. $80 if they want the interior too. You learn fast. Steam cleaners for the stains nobody else can get out. Clay bars for the paint that looks dead. Until you bring it back. Your hands crack from chemicals. You don't own gloves that fit right, so you just push through the sting. But you're making $400 a week now. Real money, rent money, the kind of money that used to feel impossible. Your friends ask when you're getting a real job, a job with a badge, a name tag, a boss. You smile and don't answer, because you already have a boss. It's every car window reflecting your own face back at you. Words start spreading through group chats and neighborhood pages. This guy actually cares about the work. You start showing up before sunrise, leaving after sunset. You tell yourself it's just a busy season, but something's happening beneath the surface. A pattern, a pull, the kind of thing that changes a person slowly enough that they don't notice until it's already done. Level 3. The first big client. A man in a gray suit finds your number through a friend of a friend. He owns a used car dealership on the edge of town. 12 cars a week. Steady work. Steady cash. You show up in your beat-up Corolla with a trunk full of gear you can't afford to replace if it breaks. He watches you detail a used BMW like he's grading an audition for something much bigger than a car wash. You don't know it yet, but you are. He pays you in cash every Friday. No invoices, no paperwork, no questions. You upgrade your gear. Real ceramic coating kits, proper gloves. A generator that actually starts on the first pull. You start calling yourself a detailer now, not a wash boy. The word feels different in your mouth. Heavier, more like an identity. The dealership becomes your bread and butter. 12 cars a week turns into 15, then 20. But dealerships mean more than clean cars. They mean introductions. They mean your name traveling to rooms you've never stood in. The man in the gray suit starts calling you his guy. You don't realize what that title will eventually cost you. Level 4, the private clients. Somebody at the dealership slips your number to a private buyer who doesn't like waiting in lines. A Mercedes G-Wagon. Cash payment. No name on the invoice because there is no invoice. Then, a Range Rover with tinted windows so dark you can't see who's driving. Then a Lamborghini Huracan that smells like cigars, cologne, and something else you can't quite place. These clients don't haggle over price. They tip in stacks of hundreds folded like it's nothing to them. You start noticing small things. Mismatched paperwork in glove compartments. Owners who never make eye contact when they hand you the keys. One man pays you triple your normal rate to detail his car overnight. No questions asked. No explanation given. You take the money. You tell yourself it's not your business what happens in cars before they reach you. You start building a mental list of rules. Don't ask about the smell. Don't ask about the stains. Don't ask why some clients only call after midnight. This is the moment the entire game changes. You just don't feel the shift yet because it comes disguised as opportunity. Level 5, the shop. You open your own detailing shop. A real one. A sign out front. A lease with your name on it. Employees who show up because you're paying them well. Your local business page fills with 5-star reviews. Your Instagram climbs past 10,000 followers, all watching time-lapse videos of dirty cars becoming showroom clean. You're pulling in 6 figures a year now. You bought a truck. You bought a house with a garage bigger than your childhood bedroom. Rich clients start requesting you by name. Exotic car collectors, local minor celebrities, a city councilman who always pays in cash and always calls ahead. You hire 3 guys and train them the way nobody ever trained you. Patient. Detailed. Demanding. Life feels good. Clean. Earned through sweat and mornings that started before the sun. But shops attract attention. Money attracts attention. Reputation attracts the kind of people who need reputations like yours. Some of your new clients aren't the kind who like cameras, receipts, or small talk. You start noticing black SUVs idling outside longer than they should. You tell yourself it's nothing. You've learned not to ask questions. Remember? Level 6. The reputation. Your name starts appearing in circles you've never physically entered. A watch dealer mentions you to a jewelry importer. The importer mentions you to a man who moves inventory for people who prefer privacy. You don't chase these connections. They arrive on their own, like weather. A regular client pulls you aside after hours one night, long after your employees have gone home. He owns 3 exotic cars. Pays in cash every single time. Never a card, never a check. Tonight he asks for something different. Something that has nothing to do with paint correction or leather conditioner. He wants the inside of his trunk deep cleaned. Bleached. No trace of anything left behind. He doesn't explain what happened. You don't ask. That's the rule you built for yourself. And rules like that are easy to keep until they aren't. He pays you $5,000 for 1 hour of work, more than you used to make in a month washing Civics and gas station lots. You do it. You tell yourself it's just a stain. Just a job. Just money changing hands like it always has. But your fingers shake a little when you count the bills that night. Alone in your office, blinds pulled shut. Something in your gut says you crossed a line that doesn't get uncrossed. You ignore it because ignoring it is easier than facing what it means. Level 7. The request. Word spreads quietly in circles you didn't know existed until you were already standing inside them. Men in nice suits start calling your private line, a number you never gave to strangers. They don't talk about paint correction. They talk about special services. Removing evidence, erasing VIN, etchings from stolen frames, scrubbing DNA from leather seats until forensics finds nothing. You realize somewhere in your chest that you're not just a detailer anymore. You've become a cleanup man for people who make their problems disappear for a living. The money is obscene now. $50,000 for a single weekend of quiet, careful work behind a locked garage door. You buy a second house on a lake you never visit. A boat that sits under a tarp. A watch you never take off because taking it off feels like admitting something. But you stop sleeping through the night. Every headlight outside your window makes your chest tighten. Every car that rolls into your private garage feels heavier than the one before it. Like the weight of what it's carrying seeps into the metal itself. Level 8. The network. You're pulled fully into something bigger than a shop. Bigger than a business. Bigger than the kid who once counted $20 twice. There's a network now. Men who move cars across state lines. Men who need those cars to look like they've never existed. You meet a man named Reyes at a private garage 2 hours from your shop. He doesn't shake hands. He hands you an envelope instead. Inside the envelope is more cash than you made in your entire first year as a detailer. Reyes tells you, in a voice too calm for what he's saying, that discretion is worth more to him than perfection. You start traveling for jobs now. Different cities, different garages, different cars with the same silence hanging over them. Your own employees start asking questions you can't answer. Why do you disappear for days at a time? Why does the private garage stay locked even from them? You give vague answers, investments, side projects, consulting work. They stop asking eventually, or they stop caring. You're not sure which is worse. Level 9, the power. You're untouchable now, or so it feels standing in your own garage at 2 a.m. with $60,000 in a duffel bag. Your shop is a front with real customers and real reviews, but your true income flows from favors nobody talks about in daylight. You have a private bay behind the main shop, cameras disabled. Staff who don't ask questions because they're paid not to. You detail cars for men who quietly run entire corners of the city, men whose names never appear in headlines, but whose decisions shape them anyway. They trust you because you're careful, because you never talk, because your hands are steady even when the job isn't simple. You drive a car worth more than the house you grew up in, parked in a garage bigger than that entire childhood home. But paranoia moves in like mold, quiet, constant, spreading into corners you don't check often enough. You check your mirrors twice on every drive home now, even on quiet streets where nothing has ever happened. You've built an empire on other people's secrets, and secrets, no matter how well they're cleaned, always find a way to leak. Level 10, the warning. A woman you trusted, one of your first employees, gets pulled over on a routine traffic stop. She's not involved in the private garage work. She never has been, but her name is in your payroll, and your payroll is now a thread someone is starting to pull. An investigator calls your shop asking generic questions about business practices and client history. You answer everything calmly, the way Reyes taught you. Calm voices don't attract suspicion, panic does. But that night you sit in your private garage alone, staring at the drain in the floor, remembering every car that's rolled across it. You call Reyes. He tells you to slow down, take a few weeks off, let the noise die down naturally. You try to sleep and can't. You keep hearing engines outside that aren't actually there. Your girlfriend asks why you've been distant, why you flinch at phone calls, why you stopped talking about the future. You don't have an answer that won't scare her, so you just tell her you're tired. It's not a lie, it's just not the truth either. Level 11. The crack. A federal investigation opens. Not into you directly, into one of your clients, a man 3 levels above Reyes in a hierarchy you never fully understood. But your name is in his phone. Your shop's address is in his records. Your face is in security footage from a gas station 2 blocks from a job you did 18 months ago. Detectives start quietly interviewing your old employees, one by one asking questions dressed up as routine. One of them talks. You don't know which one. You don't know how much they said or how much they even knew to say. You stop answering unknown numbers. Some nights you don't sleep in your own bed, moving between houses like the walls themselves might be listening. The empire you built in careful silence starts screaming inside your own head every time you close your eyes. Every knock at the door sounds like the end you always knew was coming, even when you refuse to admit it. You think about disappearing. You think about running. You realize somewhere in the middle of the night that there's nowhere left that feels safe. You realize the truth too late. The money was never clean. It just looked that way under good lighting and better excuses. Level 12. The fall. They come at 6 a.m. The exact same hour you used to stand in a gas station lot washing a rusted Civic for $20. Federal agents, warrants. Your name printed on paper you never imagined seeing your own name on. Your shop is seized within the hour. Your accounts are frozen by noon. Your name is in local headlines before the sun even sets that day. You sit in a small room with a lawyer who keeps using words like accessory and obstruction and cooperation. You think about the kid with the bucket and the $20 bill standing in the cold, doing math about how far 10 cars could take him. He never wanted this. He just wanted to make rent without asking anyone for help. Somewhere between level 1 and level 12, the job changed you far more than you ever changed it. Now you sit in silence in a room that smells like old coffee and fluorescent lights, wondering which level was the one you couldn't come back from. Level 13. The cycle. The story doesn't end with you, even though your part in it does. Somewhere right now, another kid is standing in a parking lot with a bucket and a sponge, doing the exact same math you once did. He doesn't know where the levels lead. He can't know. Nobody warns you at level 1 what waits at level 12. He just sees the money, the freedom, the version of himself he could become with enough hustle and enough hours before sunrise. He doesn't see the private garages, the envelopes, the drains that need bleaching, the 6 a.m. knock that ends everything. Maybe he never gets that far. Maybe he stops at level 3 and lives a quiet, unremarkable, untouched life. Or maybe he doesn't stop. Maybe the math keeps adding up in his head the same way it once did in yours. Either way, the levels are still there, waiting. Patient, unchanged, waiting for the next person willing to climb.